he's a gatekeeper, you know, status. Dillian Whyte, I would agree that he's higher than gatekeeper status, but he's heading there, Ken. He's
Yeah,
heading there.
don't you think that?
Run out of people.
Yeah, don't you think that's down to wear and tear? Because the thing is that despite the fact, because of his fighting style and the fact that he took so many risks, that you know, whether it's his fault or not,
Mm-hmm.
that has paid a lot of that paid a, took a lot out of him, and that was probably the consequences of how bad he looked against Fury. But the thing is that Dillian Whyte is there, Tyson Fury's up there at the moment. So it was at the time. Obviously, I talked a good game because I love Dillian Whyte, I love Tyson Fury, but you know, the realist in me just thought, you know what, this is just one of the biggest mismatches ever, and it's just like Dillian's reward for, you know, waiting his turn, you know, and for, you know, getting the lawyers involved. But it looked like a complete mismatch, and I think a lot of that's to do because Tyson Fury's just too big for him, and Tyson Fury's too quick for him. But I think wear and tear. I think that's just wear and tear because of the fights Dillian talked. Like as you said, you talked about life and death fights. He probably had too many life and death fights. Hence the fact he looks like a wear and tear.
But that's what we do like about him. He don't got no smoke. He ain't a chicken. He ain't a coward. I give him that.
It's like Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce. He hasn't. He's basically looks like $1 million because even though he's 37, a few years older than Dillian, the fact is he hasn't had those life and death fights. You know, he's had the incredible fitness, and you know he's gone in there and he's taken man's out, and he's got better with every fight. Like for instance, when we saw him a few years ago, he thought, "Oh God, this guy can't punch." Yeah, but he's durable. And then after the bar fight, he's got better and better. And what he's done with his punches is that he's twisted his arms rather than go straight and go like that. He's twisted his arms and used his leg. He's getting more power now. He's getting more knockout power. So he's developed in a way that he's a young 37-year-old. So yeah, I think I agree with a lot of things that you say. Dillian Whyte's just on the side because Arlett's right, because too many life and death fights, risks and walls, you know, tear-ups. That's what happens in boxing. If you have a tear-up all the time, it ages you. Good old Nigel Benn, love it a bit. But in the end, he got older than him because of the tear-ups. And I think that's, you know, I don't think Joshua's going to get like that because Joshua's he's a good fighter and he's tore people apart rather than involved in tear-ups. The only tear-up he's had was, you know, Klitschko, and I think that's where Dillian's what. But I don't think Dillian would have done anything different because, as you said, he entertained us.
Yeah, he has, yeah, I'll let Dillian Whyte's on the slide. Yeah, you can say Deontay Wilder's on the slide for sure if that's what you want to say. It's cool, but I mean, we're not really talking about Deontay Wilder in its entirety. So we're kind of just talking about Dillian Whyte. So we're not going to be like, well, that one's on the slide too, then, because you said my favorite fighter's on the slide, so this one's on the slide. Like, let's not go down that road. Like, we do a Wilder show. I've done Wilder shows. This ain't one. We can talk about Wilder where he fits in the rankings with like heavyweights with people like Dillian Whyte, but Dillian Whyte is the main topic today. So we're going to need to like really just jump off the Wilder thing unless you're going to have a correlation.
Let me say this on far as that it's the worst way to make your point is compare something that you feel is worse. So if you, for instance, went to a restaurant, you didn't like the food, and then you told somebody like, I hate the food there, and then somebody's like, whoa, but McDonald's has way worse food. Okay.
And
it's like, it's not a good way to defend somebody. Defend them on the face of what he's accomplished. It sounds better. If I say Joy Joyce is a good fighter, then or if I say Joy Joyce is sharp, do you bring up somebody else who's more trash? It doesn't really make a point because it's just like, okay, cool, that's fine. Like, we're distracting it. Like, we're not shitting on Dillian Whyte, but it is what it is. And me comparing him to Joyce, I'll put it like this: Joyce, as his competition has arose, he hasn't gotten more and more dominant. The Dubois fight, regardless of people say at the time, they're both undefeated. They're both title contenders. He washes them. Takam, he beat him. Chris Hammer, he beat him. Parker, he stopped him. So as his competition goes up, Dillian Whyte may have won those type of fights, but it was life and death wars. So it's like there's a difference. It's like because you're more even playing. People could say that's exciting word, but you're choosing to fight that way. Because if I now see you trying to box, that means that you could have been boxing. Why weren't you boxing? Why are you getting to battles? Because you have to. Because you don't have
that war energy.
Yeah, you don't have that. You have to fight that way.
There's no more maximum violence. You have to change your whole strategy now because your body's breaking down, and against the top level of lads that are coming up, you don't have that smoke in you anymore.
And they're trying to compare him to a small fighter, but he's like, to me, like his revamping is like when I saw John Gotti try to become a boxer. It's like, bro, you're a brawler and you get into fights and you take a lot of damage, but whose fault is that? Like, yo, like at the end of the day, yes, entertaining, but you know, you got if you want to be a champion, you want to be elite. Like like we say AJ is elite. I don't see AJ getting in life and death tussles with people. Like for what? Like I'm gonna dominate you and knock you out. Why would I get into a Joyce, same thing? Why would I get into a back and forth with you? I'm just gonna stop you, Parker. I don't care how much weight you put on.
You could put on even Fabio Blood Clark Wardley said you could be 280 pound Nathan Gorman. I'm just gonna beat you up and done. That's it. And he ain't no levels. Shouts out to Fabio Blood Clark Wardley in the booties. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. There's levels. Dillian Whyte, there's no disrespect, but like you lot stop getting in your little feelings, right? I don't want to hear Dillian Whyte, which I have heard him saying what he always comes out with an excuse recently after every that he's still learning at the age of 35. Nobody. Your learning days is done. It's finished. It's finished. It's done. Them days done. You're not learning nothing. You're trying to adapt. You're trying to survive at this point. Right? That's what you're trying to do. I don't want to hear what you're not the same age as Joshua. You're 2 years older than Joshua. And if Joshua's saying he's still learning, but he's learning, having back-to-back elite fights and for most of his career, then it's not the same. It doesn't work for you to say, well, I'm still learning in my career. I said it. Customato could come down and descend from the heavens and train Dillian Whyte. We're not going to get anything different. It's not going to be a different result. That's it. So, so before there's just super crickets, because I know I always shut shit down. But you're saying Wilder beat him, so that's why. Yes, that's why I said, if you want to talk about other fighters, we're talking about where we put Dillian within the ranking of other heavyweights. But we're not going to say, because Dillian is on the slide, but Wilder's on the slide too. Dillian did this, but Wilder did that too. It's not that. It's not that. This isn't that show. Do you know what I mean? Unless you just got something that's so super valid that correlates. We're only making correlations because they're in the same division. We're not making it where we're building up this fighter, so we shit on that fighter. You know, when it's time that I need to shit, when someone steps their little foot out of place, you know it's desecration mode activated round here. So it's not no turning of events. But what I'm saying is, like, let's just keep it that this show is called Is Dillian Whyte Elite? Just because he's your favourite fighter and you want to fuck him, Arlette, we're not all gonna like fall into line. You know, yeah, sorry.
Check it out something.
It's a boxing show. It's not because I want to fuck him. He's the best thing since sliced bread show. No. Go ahead.
No, but it's just like